funny. I used to get introduced as a guest speaker in my office in Englewood Cliffs. I was in the building 28 years. And then I moved to Florida full time. And now I'm there usually like 3 weeks a month, but I've been traveling a little bit. So last week I did a meeting in Florida, and I got introduced as a guest speaker. And I got an office here, which I sat in for the first time, I think, in 4 months today, and I'm a guest speaker. So I'm your guest speaker tonight. Hey, I want to take a few minutes with you guys tonight and kind of share with you the way I look at the business from the beginning of the business opportunity to building something that could pay you millions and millions of dollars a year and get absolutely stone wealthy. But it starts with the same opportunity. I did a meeting for Chris H. yesterday. And he's going on $1 million run right now. He's at about 700,000, getting ready to focus on taking his income to $1 million. And so I met with the RVPs yesterday and talked to these guys about what it takes to go make 7 figures, you know. But it's really the same thing that it takes to go make an extra $1,000 or $1,500 a month on a part-time basis. And every time I meet with people, the focus is the same. So what I wanted to do tonight is start off. Can you guys hear me in the back? Yeah. Like I'm at a strip club. Start off in the beginning, start off talking to people on the front end of our business. Because in the meeting that's going on inside right now, the business briefing, the orientation, we talk about kind of who we are and what we do, right or wrong. Right. And then people walk out of that meeting saying, is this thing for real? How does it work? You know, we all have self-doubt. We all have insecurities. We don't know if this thing's for real. And we all kind of doubt. At first we doubt the opportunity, and then we doubt ourselves, right? Mm-hmm. And I think when you look at the business, we all have different struggles that we go through. I just started, December we started our 31st year in this business. I started when I was 22. Last month I turned 53. And when I first looked at Primerica, my background was I was a plumber and I taught a karate school. And I used to kickbox a little bit. And so when I looked at Primerica, I was making $70,000 a year, full-time at my job, working crazy 80 hours a week, which is a lot of time back then. It was a lot of money back then for a young kid. And so what I didn't do is quit my job and just come on board on a full-time basis. And I challenge you to do this part-time. And not spare time, not invest no time, but do it part-time. And your part-time can be whatever you want, but I think at least the first 13 weeks, what I try to do when I meet with people, and I've spent a lot more time on the front end of the business recently. My daughter just sent me a text. She goes, Dad, I'm at the office tonight and you're not there. Because my daughter just got licensed. She's 18. She's a senior in high school. And I said, I call her Monkey Girl. I said, Monk, you get licensed and Daddy will field train you. I've been in the field in 16 years. And so in between, I've been traveling a little bit, but last week I was in the field. I did a bunch of appointments with her, recruited a bunch of people, closed some business. And I told her every 16 years I'm going to do this thing. And so when I first looked at the business, I struggled with every part of it. And the reason being is, and I say this all the time, the opportunity that's going on right now. Who's got guests inside tonight? Awesome. The opportunity that's going on inside right now. We tell people what we do. And just so you know, the people that are in that meeting tonight may or may not be interested. They don't know who we are and what we do. They're trying to figure this thing out, right? Why am I here? People walk in, they look around. Oh, I get it. We're all in the same boat. But when somebody gets back together for a one-on-one interview, or somebody comes back for a follow-up, you're supposed to get them started. You with me? So people that come to a business briefing may or may not be interested. People that come back for a follow-up are interested. Right. Your job is to get them started. Let me give you an example. I went and looked at some cars today because I was in the air. I was buying a condo. I'm looking to buy a condo for my mom. So I went and looked at the condos, and then I saw this cool truck that I want to buy. So I pulled over and I pulled into the dealership. I walked. I said, "Dude, I'm just looking. And I was not buying anything today. I was just looking. I didn't need to buy a condo and a car today, right? So I was out looking, and the guy walks in. He goes, "You need help me? Can someone help me?" I said, "No, bro. I'm just looking. Last thing I need is another car right now." I said, "But I'm just looking." I was just looking. When I came to my opportunity meeting, December 1987, and then I came back Saturday. What's up, chap? I came back Saturday. What's up, chap? That sounds funny. Came back Saturday for my follow-up meeting. I came back hoping this crap was true. Nice. I came back trying to figure out where the gotcha was, but I didn't come back to debate somebody. I didn't come back to be argumentative. I came back hoping that this thing is for real. Does that make sense?
Right.
So the 4 things that I talk about all the time whenever I meet with somebody is understand the first thing that goes through people's head is this thing for real? And the thing you got to look at is you got to look at what the track record is. Like Steve went in and put an office here, rent office space, put a building here so we could fool the 19 people into doing something that's not good. Are you with me?
Yeah.
And the thing that we got to realize is the track record of success. Primerica's got more people making $100,000, $500,000, $1 million more than any other company in the United States. And when the company went public, real quick, and I go through and I recap what we do. So kind of what I'm going to do tonight for 10 or 15 minutes is kind of do what I do in a follow-up one-on-one. So if you came, what's your first name?
Lucas.
Lucas Keith. What's up, brother? So if Lucas came to my meeting last Tuesday, I invited him, or someone on my team invited him, or my daughter, or friends, right? And you sat through a business briefing, I would get back together with you, and I would chat with you, and I would ask you some questions, answer some questions, but really what I want to do is kind of recap what went on in that meeting. And the reason being is, guys, Primerica's been around for 41 years. So that presentation, and I just was involved in creating a new op meeting, that presentation is 41 years of our business condensed into an hour and 15 minutes. And sometimes people walk out of that meeting, they go, I don't know if this is for me. I get people walk out of that meeting like this sometimes, right? Because I always say it's like a fire hose, right? It's like a fire hose rushing out, trying to get a sip out of a fire. It's a lot of information. So, but keep in mind, when someone gets back together with you, you're supposed to get them started. Because they're trying to figure out, is this thing for real? And so what you got to do is you've got to take a minute or two and kind of recap. And I always recap the fact that there's a picture of Art Williams in my office. He was the guy who founded our company. And I was telling the story to Yuzio, one of his teammates. I'm playing golf last week, and I'm not a big hockey guy, but my country club, there's a lot of ballers, a lot of famous people that belong to my country club in Naples. And they're always bringing all, like, all these politicians, and I played, Rush, the band Rush. Everyone, all the older people, right? So Alex Lifeson, the lead guitarist I played with, I didn't even know who the hell he was. We're listening to Eminem music on the thing. He goes, get this shit off, put some Rush on. I go, oh, you like that band? He goes, the guy goes, idiot, he's the lead guitarist, right? You bet your ass. I didn't know who he was, right? So, because he had a hat on or whatever. So I'm playing a couple weeks ago and I'm not a big hockey guy, but Brad Richards from the Rangers was playing with us, and so he has this little Canadian accent, and he goes, I go, where you from, bro? He goes, Toronto, eh? I go, hey. So I said, oh, did you play any hockey? He goes, yeah, a little bit. And the guys are laughing at me. I don't know. So I go, how far did you get? My son, I'm trying to impress him. My son played hockey for 2 years, right? So, and he goes, yeah, I did. I go, how far? Are you high school? He goes, no. He goes, dude, he has 2 Stanley Cups. So I go, what's your name? He goes, Brad Richard. I go, oh, hey, my son loves you, right? So I played like 2 hours with a golf, didn't even know who the guy was. And as we start bullshitting back and forth, they said, oh, dude, you played for the Rangers? He goes, yeah. I said, where'd you play for? He goes, I played for Tampa Bay Lightning, too. I said, oh, maybe you know Art Williams. Because Art Williams sold Primerica, A.L. Williams, to Sandy Weil, 50% of it to Sandy Weil, and changed the name to A.L. Williams to Primerica Financial Services, which is where we got that company name, because we were a division of Primerica. Sold it for like over $1 billion. And then he bought the Tampa Bay Lightning because he was boring. He was bored. And so I was bullshitting with him. I said, you know what? He goes, yeah, he's that little southern guy with a lot of money. I go, yeah. And I work with the company that he founded. And what's crazy is Art Williams created this dynasty, right? And created a system that 41 years later is still going forward because of the fundamentals.
Nice.
And then Primerica Corporation merged with Travelers. And if you look at some of the guys that have the old $1 million rings, see how there's a little umbrella on there? Because Travelers used to be, so Primerica purchased Travelers Insurance. They didn't purchase Travelers Insurance because it was a good company, although it was pretty good. They purchased it because of name recognition. This was the 5th largest recognized symbol in the world, right behind the McDonald's M, right? Now it's the Google symbol and Facebook, right? But this back in the day was, so they bought this company and changed the name to Travelers Group. So for a while, we were a Primerica division of Travelers Group. And then Travelers Group merged with Citibank, and then we were part of Citigroup. And then in 2010, we kind of did our own IPO, initial public offering, and became our own company. And the company raised billions of dollars to take our company public. And so I do that in about 15 seconds to get people to understand we don't need your 99 bucks, Spanky, right? So, but the fact is, what we do is we need resources. And as great as this company's been, as much as we've grown, the fact of the matter is we still have less than 10% market share. And our market today is bigger. More people need our help and our guidance than ever before. Right. And so we take Wall Street concepts and bring them to Main Street. And I think what makes the business opportunity so great is what we do for people. And I say all the time, I didn't join here to help people. I didn't join here for the financial services crusade. I joined here to make money. The thing that kept me here is what we do for people. Nice. The thing that motivates the hell out of me today is what we do for people. Jose said something to me yesterday. He goes, dude, you said, I was at Chris H.'s house yesterday having a glass of water, bullshit with a bunch of people for a few hours. He goes, I'm listening to you, sound excited about what you're talking about. I love the business, okay? I like to travel. I like to do things. The last month has been a crazy month for us because we've been out of town a lot. The company had a little Hawaii trip. Actually, before that, you guys were down in our house, Steve. We did a little thing in our house. Little thing with 100 people for a little dinner at my house in the living room. And so we got a big house, but we had some people down, and that was cool. And then from there, we went to Hawaii for a week, and I took my daughter, because my daughter is a senior in high school, and I feel like I'm going to lose her soon, which I already did. And so so I spent a week with her, and then I came back, and then my daughter went to Manhattan with my wife for a week, because we just got a place in the city. And then I took my son skiing out in Park City for a week, and then I dropped them off, and then I went out to Vegas with my buddies, which was real fun. And I lost my mind, and I came back here. And so I've been going a little bit too. And one of the things that I reflect is I like doing travel and doing all that crap, but to me, I like the game of Primerica too. Nice. And I've been doing this now 31 years. And if you get one thing from me tonight as I speak to you, if you could find something truly, sincerely, 31 years later that you still love to do, and I don't have to do this anymore. I didn't go back in the field. I was in the field last week. I didn't go back in the field because I have to. I love the business, and I know a lot of people that make a lot of money and are dying to retire because they just want to chill out and you can chill out, but the business side and spending time with people and watching people grow, and the thing that I'm excited about is I fly home tomorrow, thank God, because it's cold here, but I fly home tomorrow and I have a grand opening Friday night in my new office. We just opened up a new office, kick-ass office down there. And we have our first meeting that we're doing down there. And I'm excited about the next 5 or 10 years of expanding down there and expanding up here because I know the system and I know the impact we can have. And there's a huge market out there. And the market's bigger than we can handle. So we need to take some people through the process. But the first thing that you got to sit down with people and talk to people about is the fact that is this thing for real? It's not just real, it's unreal. What we do for people is better than we talk about across the kitchen table. And I'm going to give you some examples tonight. And then the business opportunity to make income and truly build a company within a company is unbelievable. Then the second thing is people check is incredible because people want to feel good about working with a company. It's incredible, but the credibility of our company, we're in a financial services arena, and if you look at the most highly regulated industry in the world, it's financial services. And that's why someone's already checked us out before people have to start second guessing, right? And I always say there's 2 reasons people don't do our business or try our business or maybe take the next step. One is they don't take the time to fully understand who we are and what we do. And the second is they don't think that they can do it. So what we've got to do is get people to understand who we are and what we do a little bit, and then get people not to think that they can do it, but to think that they can try it, right? Because this thing one step at a time. I was also of the opinion that I couldn't do this thing, which is why I was part-time for 4.5 years. 4.5 years I was in this business before I quit my job. I'm speaking in front of the room. That's all I do right now. I just did a meeting for Costello's team at 500 people on Saturday. I spoke out in Vegas. I spoke yesterday for a couple hundred people in the morning. That's all I do is talk now, but I was in the business 4.5 years and never spoke in front of a room because I was afraid to speak in front of people. So the cool thing about this business is there's so many different facets, but the coolest part is you go at your own pace, right? Third thing is it good for people? Our business is not good for people, folks. It's great for people. Right. And I say this all the time. I think religion's important because I think you have that faith in something. I'm not going to press or push my religious beliefs on you. And if you don't have a belief, that's a belief, okay? Okay? But the fact is, I think there's an importance to that. right? And then I also think there's an importance to being healthy, because we come down this road once.
Right.
And the only person that can screw up our health is us, right? And the only person that can fix our health is us. So I think when you take someone's religious beliefs and then you take somebody's health out of it, the third thing that you could have the biggest impact in someone's life is in their financial health. And their financial health, people aren't stupid, but they're ignorant. We're not stupid but we're ignorant to information. And what we've got to do is educate people on how money works. And it's amazing how many people who have money and how many people who are smart as hell have no common sense when it comes to money. And the simple, basic concepts. I was with you in the office, Antonio, going over simple, basic concepts. What we do for people is great, and yet people will go out and think about the crap people do. They'll cut coupons. They'll buy gas on certain days. They'll fly on certain days because it's cheaper. They'll do everything to save money, but nobody thinks about money working. And you and I have an opportunity. What we do really is we show people how to have their money working for them so it doesn't work against them.
Right.
And what people say to me all the time is, well, Keith, what do you do? Really what we do in a nutshell is we sell financial peace. That's really what we do. Financial peace is what we do. People want to be able to be like this. What is life insurance? Life insurance right now is, I've got $17 million worth of life insurance. Hoping Danielle, my wife, never gets it. Right? But what it is, it's a peace of mind knowing if something happens to me yesterday. I'm getting my pilot's license. I told the story not too long ago. I crashed a plane about 2 months ago, coming in for a landing. I didn't crash it. I landed, and then I went to take off the other end, and the front wheel snapped on my landing gear, and then my propeller starts bouncing on the runway, which leaves a mark. And then we skid down 392 feet, sparks are flying. Kind of woke me up for a minute, right? And then I called my wife from the runway. I go, listen, I'm running a little behind. I got a little crash. And first thing she did was go on POL and add life insurance, right? No, but the first thing I thought is, if God forbid something happens to me, my wife's covered, my family's covered, I've got assets put away. So what it is, it's a piece of paper that's saying if something happens, my ass is covered. And it really is, it's a financial piece, right or wrong. Right. What is money? If that room right here had a bunch of money and it was yours and you could touch it anytime you want, you go downstairs and your car breaks down and the tire's flat or shit happened, and you got resources, right? I got millions and millions of dollars put away that I don't touch. I've never seen it. It's on a computer when you look, but you don't just throw it in a room and get naked and dive and roll on it. You go, oh, look at this shit, right? So what is it? It's financial peace. It's you don't sweat the things when things go wrong. If something goes wrong, stuff's going to happen every single day. Sometimes life gets in the way. What we sell, folks, is financial peace. Bottom line is, if everybody in this room had $50, $80, $100,000 of credit card debt right now, and you didn't have the money to pay it, you go home at night, you don't want to answer your phone. Right. That same person has no debt, doesn't owe anybody money, has assets. No, same person, you sleep a little bit different, don't you? Right. You got a little bit more swag in your walk. A little more honey on the stinger. Dew on the lily, right? You don't sweat the petty things, right or wrong. So what happens is, you and I have that ability. And people don't realize, right? And this is a fact statistic. Wealthier people are healthier people. Right. Statistic. I'm just saying that's a fact. Because they have other resources. So it affects all different parts of your life, right or wrong. If you look at marriage, most marriages fail because of money. Now there's other things that lead to it, but money usually creates that. And it's not because they have a lot of it. Like, I'm arguing with my wife. She's like, this is bullshit. What do we do with all this money, right? It's usually lack of money, right? Right. And so what we do is great for people. Then the other thing that people think about is, can I do this thing? And the coolest part about our business is realize you can do this thing and you can go at any different pace you want. And so the thing you got to realize is, we have a financial interest in 400 regional vice presidents. We have almost 11,000 licensed reps right now in our organization. And so we've been fortunate, okay? But I've seen over and over and over and over again, people become successful. How many of you are at the convention with us in Indianapolis? Yeah, right? I mean, there's a ton of people. All you got to do is open up that $100,000, $1 million book. How many people we have? Thousands and thousands of people making $100,000, $200,000, millions of dollars a year There were some goofy people in that book making money, right or wrong. So all you got to realize is why, because there's a system.
Nice.
It's not the most talented, it's not the smartest, and the thing we got to do is we got to utilize that, right? And so the challenge we have is when we look at this business is understanding, can I do this thing? And the thing that I try to do is try to figure out, first of all, when I do an interview with somebody, a one-on-one interview with somebody, the first thing I ask them is, what intrigued you most? So if you came to the op meeting last night, I got back together with you today, what intrigued you most last night to get us back together today? And I want to hear what they say. Because some people, it's about making extra income. Just to pay off the bills because they want to eliminate stress. Some people, they always wanted to be in their own business. Some people want to make stupid money because they want to drive a nice car and live in a nice house. And that's cool too, but some people want to have enough money so they could, some people want to retire their spouse or take care of their parents. I went to look at a condo for my mom today. Hey, look, people, the realtor goes, I can't believe you're buying this for your mother. She goes, you're such a good guy. I go, no, I'm not. I'm wealthy. When I was broke, I wouldn't have bought shit for my mother, right? So, but my point is, if I had extra resources, you can do that stuff, right or wrong.
Right.
And so the fact is, we have extra resources, so we're able to do that stuff. And so the first thing I always ask people is, what intrigued you most about what you sat through? And I want to hear what they say. And by the way, I'm going to tie my whole presentation into what they say, Josh. That's my whole presentation. Because sometimes what motivated you might not motivate them. And a lot of times, I met with this guy or this gal, I did a follow-up, it went great. You got them started, you got them off to a fast start, you got them through the licensing process, you got them on the fast start plan, and they go, no, he's going to think about it. How's that a great follow-up? Because what happens sometimes is we just add a bunch of information, and we don't figure out what they want. And the coolest thing about Primerica is it allows us to get what we want. So the first thing I want to find out is, what do they want? If it's part-time income, I'm going to talk about how to make part-time income. If it's full-time income, I'm going to talk about being full-time and what it takes to be full-time. If it's owning and operating a business, by the way, there is no other business like ours. No other business like ours. You want to talk about true ownership? True ownership. I was playing golf about 2 months ago with a guy, a month and a half ago with a guy who's from Toronto also. Same group of guys, and it was RBC, British Royal Bank of Canada. And he's an investment bank broker, and one guy, the other guy sells investments and insurance, and he goes, I do what you do. I said, dude, you don't do what I do. You do the opposite of the shit I do. You sell bad policies. You target the 1% of the population that makes $5-10 million a year. We target the 99% of the population. Opposite. The products I sell are good for people. The products you sell are good for you, right? And so I went through the whole, and I said, well, let me ask you a question. How much money do you have of assets under management? He goes, well, personally, I have $100 million. He goes, what do you have? I said, I deal in a middle income, $50 a month investments is the minimum. He goes, my minimum's $5 million. I said, my minimum's $50. I said, what are your assets under management? He goes, 100. He went, $100 million. I said, really? We have only $4.5 billion. Right? Because a little bit off a lot is a bunch. And so when you look at the resources and what we do for people, what we do for people is awesome, right? And so that process right now, that process of us sitting down with people and putting together a game plan, one of the things that's so cool is we get caught up sometimes trying to figure out all the different resources. One of the things that's awesome when it comes to the ownership side of our business, he doesn't own his own business, this guy. He goes, I get like a little pension, but when I retire, it stops. Do you understand? God forbid something happens to Steve Buendia, tomorrow's family gets the business.
Nice.
If something happens to me, the reason my daughter is getting licensed is she goes, Dad, well, if something happens to you, what happens to the business? I said, it's going to Mommy. What happens if something happens to Mommy? Then it's going to you now, right? Right? So Blake's trying to turn 18 quick, my son. But the fact is, we have ownership. And the difference is, in the real world, most businesses, when it's transferred down generational, it falls apart.
Right.
Whether it's a shoemaker, to a restaurant, to an automotive supply, to it's a textile company, not always, but most of the time, if you look at generational transfer, it falls apart.
Right.
Our business, all they got to do is transfer the overrides. They can't mess this up. How cool is that?
Right.
And so our business, what we're doing is we're transferring a machine that continues to pay, which is great. And the thing we gotta look at too, if this is our business and this is right here, how do we take the glare off of there? Wednesday, Thursday, Friday, the first 3 days of the month, we're paid $127,000. The first 3 days of the month. And he goes, holy shit, right? And I go, that's pretty cool. But what makes that cool is the company paid out tons of money to other people, and the overrides from that was $120-something thousand. So that, why? Because Primerica works for us. And so when I tell people go, oh, you work for Primerica, right? I go, no, Primerica works for me. And every time I say that, people go, that's cute. What do you mean? Primerica works for the RVPs and the regional vice presidents and the regional leaders and the districts. So this company right now has more life licensed people, more securities licensed people than any other company in the world right now. Primerica. And so when people are new, what I try to get people to understand is if they're new and they're coming down to check us out, what happens is this company, we go to work for you before you go to work for this company. Does that make sense?
Right.
And then once you get licensed, they'll continue to go to work for you. So when I show all these different companies that we represent, okay, the thing that I try to get people to understand is you don't have to be an expert in any of these areas. I mentioned we have $4.5 billion of assets under management. I don't manage anyone's money. By the way, I don't even manage my own money. I've got money sitting in a few of these areas with these companies right now, and they manage our money. And Tony, I went through some stuff with you and Augustin in my office about mutual funds.
Right.
And all I did, I don't manage people's money. I just present how they work. You with me?
Right.
So you and I, all we have to do is learn how to explain how they work. Not manage the money. So really what we do is our focus is we utilize these companies and teach and educate people on how to get financially independent. Right? The challenge with getting financially independent is people make a bunch of money and spend a bunch of money, right? Because they have debt. Sometimes they have the wrong type of products. So what we do very simple, thank you, Darnell. What we do very simple is we put together a financial needs analysis. This is what separates us. And by the way, this is what separates. So if you bring Jaime Ordonez up here, none of you would understand what he's saying. No, but if you brought Jaime up here, his personality is different than my personality. Steve Buendia's personality. Josh, everyone in this room, our personality. So you don't have to be Steve Buendia.
Right.
Right? You don't have to be Jose Padilla. Thank God you don't have to be me, right? So our business is not personality driven, our business is system driven.
Nice.
So I was 22 years old, I was a plumber, I taught a karate school, I didn't go to college. How the hell am I going to sit down in someone's house that went to school, is married, has children, they're in their 30s or 40s or 50s, and I'm 22 years old. How am I going to sit down with them and add value? Very simple. Because I utilized a tool called the financial needs analysis. Right? Imagine you're driving down the street, Antonio, and you're pulled over on the side of the road and your car breaks down because you run out of gas. And an 18-year-old kid comes walking up and says, hey, I got an extra gas can, I got gas, pulls up in the car and I got extra gas in the car. You go, I can't take that from you, you're only 18. I only take gas from people that are more mature, right? So, see, what he's doing is he's adding value. Does that make sense?
Right.
And sometimes we think because we're 18, or sometimes we think because we're not educated. What this does is this is an equalizer. If you look at Primerica, real simple, Primerica is a distribution system, right? And when I walk into the house and I sit down, I just did one of these last week for the first time in 16 years, and it hasn't changed. And I walk into the house and I sit down with somebody. When I walked into the house, I was field training a young kid who's in college. He's 20, actually just turned 21 last week. His name is Jacob, and he's on my daughter's team. And I'm training this kid, Jacob, and Jacob's a little nervous when we go. We're going to sit down with his parents, and his parents have some money. We sat down with his attorney. It was making $5 million a year. He lived in this beautiful condo overlooking the water. He goes, this guy's wealthy. I said, he's wealthy, but he's not wealthier than these guys. He's a smart guy. I go, he's a smart guy, but he ain't smarter than all these guys.
Right.
And we sat down with a guy, and his investments are messed up. He's got 17 life insurance policies, spending over $100,000 a year. And this is the guy that some people go, my uncle's an attorney, let me speak to him. I started going through the buy term and invest the difference. He goes, yeah, that's a really bad ripoff. Those are bad. I go, see, did someone ever try to sell them? He goes, yeah, I got about 7 of them. What the, right? Well, those are shitty. I got a bunch, right? So, and so it's just one of those things that people are ignorant to information.
Right.
And so when I said, Jake, when you walk in, when we did this little, so we gathered information, we did an F&A for this guy. And it's not me doing an F&A. It's not this 21-year-old kid doing an F&A. It's the greatest financial minds in the world putting together a financial blueprint.
Nice.
A step-by-step process. So when I first joined the business, the guy who mentored and coached me, his name was Joe Enser. Joe Enser said, borrow my confidence, borrow my experience until you get your own. Does that make sense?
Right.
And so we utilize his resources. So when you look at the insurance right here, right? Primerica Life, MBL, this is the only company that markets term insurance 100% of the time. There's 900 life insurance companies out there. Every single one of these companies that sell life insurance sell whole life and term, except this company, Primerica Life, sells term insurance 100%.
Nice.
So you got to feel good about that when you walk in, and if you don't yet, you'll see that process. You look at Lockwood right here. This is where we do all our managed accounts for the right situation, right? All these companies over here is where we do all our variable annuities. If you look, 401k plans, mutual funds, right? We market 1,100 different mutual funds. You understand? You can start a mutual fund for as little as 25 or 50 bucks a month. I was going through this yesterday, and I just went through. I want to give you an example about a mutual fund for a second. And I was in the business for 4.5 years without a securities license, which is silly. But when you think about the process, right? The opportunity, in the opportunity, we talk about the fact that you can get 12% on your money. You know, we talk about 3%, 6%, and 12%.
Right.
And a lot of times people go, oh, that's not guaranteed. And then if they make less than 12, they're pissed. You know what I mean? After they have it. But check this out. We had a client call the office here a couple weeks ago, about a month ago, and then a couple weeks ago asking for me. And I have like 5 clients left. All my other clients I've given away to people, right? But I've got 5 personal clients that I still deal with once in a while. Once a year, I was with the lady yesterday in Brooklyn. This lady, I sat down with her yesterday because I did a meeting for them. I said, I'm going to be here. So once a year I get together, and she's got over $1 million with us. And I sit down with her once a year and I recap her stuff. I stopped by your office yesterday in Brooklyn. She's got over $1 million with me. Her husband was a letter carrier. And I sat down and did a field training 25 years ago. And I was training this young kid that was working. He says, my uncle here, he's a letter carrier in Brooklyn. We went to Coney Island, right? So we sit down in this little point, we do it. The guy was a letter carrier. The guy retires on a Friday from being a letter carrier, U.S. Postal Service. On Saturday, he had a mortgage burning party where he paid off his mortgage, and then Sunday had a heart attack and died. And she got like $350,000 of life insurance. We invested it for her. She's got over $1 million with us now. And then so yesterday I met with her, and she goes, oh, by the way, my uncle just passed away and left me his house, $1.2 million. She's selling it. What should I do with it? Let's go to Atlantic City. No. So I'm in Vegas. And it's awesome. See, the front end, in the meeting, it's a bunch of numbers we show. But after you're here a while, those numbers, behind those numbers are people.
Right.
And what we do is incredible. And what it does is every single day I see this, it raises our belief level, right? So this lady calls up, and out this office we've been in since August, right? And then some of the guys that have been here years, but we just moved in August outside of here. And but my office in Englewood Cliffs was there for 28 years. And one of the guys that worked in the building came up to me and goes, hey, I want you to sit down and see what you could do for me, right? So years ago, we did his little F&A, we did insurance, we did investments, we put together his little financial house, and really what we did is we put together his financial needs analysis,
Nice.
which is a blueprint, which is a step-by-step to show you how to get out of debt sooner and cheaper, how to have money working for you, how to have the right type of protection, college funds for his kids. We did retirement. His kids went to college because we put money away. Now he's got a bunch of money in retirement. And his wife was working and and had some money from a little job, and she rolled it over. Had $21,000 5 years ago, and she retired. And she calls me up the other day, and she says, you want to speak to me personally? So I said, I can't do the Italian accent, but she goes, hey, Keith, I need the money. I said, all right, well, how much do you need? She goes, about 25,000. I said, you got it, no problem. She goes, which account do I take it from? I said, let's take it from your husband's. No, so she goes, no, I take it from mine. So I said, so I pull up one of her accounts. She goes, which one? So I go through her accounts, and I said, okay, I can pull out 25,000 out of this account. She goes, because I'm selling my house in New Jersey, and I'm moving to Pennsylvania, and now we're both done work, and we just want to chill out and downsize. So check this out. So I pull it up, and I said, okay, we'll pull it out of the account. I said, remember the money that you had that you rolled over from your job when you left? How much did you give me? She says, I gave you 20,000. I said, no, you gave me 21,000. You can see this here. You gave me $21,500. See that?
Yeah. Right.
On May 23rd, 2011. She didn't add any more money to this. And on 12/22/2017, she had 47,000. You see that?
Nice.
Watch this. And then so she needed to take some money out of her account. And so what I did was, I asked Wilma to print it out for me on 2/28, which is a couple weeks ago. She had 50,694 in her account.
Nice.
So, and this is her right here, Rita, right? So, and I blacked out the other information so you guys don't call her tonight. So let me give it to you in English now. So she calls me up and she goes, I need the money. I said, Rita, how much you need? You got a bunch of money invested with us. I said, it's your money. So she goes, do I have 25 in that account? I said, how much did you put in? She goes, 20. I said, no, you put in 21,000. 5.5 years ago. So I go, how much do you think you have in there? She goes, 22. Right? And she would have been right if it was in a bank. Because I took the money and I ran it on a financial calculator, and in the bank it would have grown to 22 in 5.5 years. So the rule of 72 that we talk about in the op meeting, behind that is actually people.
Right.
And when we say you get a 12% return, 12 goes into 72, what? 6 times. That means if you invest $1, six years later it becomes $2. If you invest 20,000 or 21,000, it should double, right?
Right.
Hers didn't double in 5.5 years. It doubled plus.
Right.
Why? Because I put her in this little fund. It doesn't matter what fund it is, but she's in it. She's got a bunch of funds, but there's one fund that she has with us. This is the returns on this fund. The 3-year return, the 1-year return was 23%. The 3-year return is 16%, and the 10-year return was 10.95%. She's had it for a little over 5 years, 16%, which means it more than doubles in 5.5 years.
Right.
So her 21,000 doubled to 42, grew to 52 right now.
Nice.
It was at 50 last month. It's at 52 right now. So I said, Rita, she goes, do I have 22 in there? I said, no. You could take 25,000 out and still have 27,000 left over.
Nice.
She goes, holy the shit. I was so jacked. Listen, I've been done doing this crap for years, okay? I swear to God, I call my wife. I buzz her. We have an intercom system. I buzz her in the other one. I go, babe, you got to come in my office here. She comes in. I go, look at this. She's like, she goes, what do you mean? I'm like, holy the shit, right? So, because how cool is it that you can sit down with somebody? What did I do? I didn't manage it. All I did, you right now, those of you that aren't licensed, those of you who are brand new, I could take some, you could call this company tomorrow. What's your first name? Still? Right, so you, Lucas, you call up and you go, hey, this is Lucas. Lucas can call his 800 number. You can Google it, call the 800 number and say, hi, this is Lucas. I'd like to invest some money. They'll mail you the paperwork. You fill the crap out, you send in the money, and their money will grow and perform however it performs, right? Like this, right? If you would have done it 5 years ago, 5.5 years ago.
Right.
Or I did it for you, or anyone in this room who's licensed does it for you, there's no additional fee.
Nice.
You don't pay us to do it, the company pays us. How awesome is that? That we add value and we don't have to charge extra for it. Folks, the point is, what we do for people is so awesome, and when you look at that process right here, so when you look behind the scenes of all these things that we do, how do I make this? You got it, brother? So when you look at all the things we do, so all these different companies and all these different resources that we provide, so the focus is this. You want to get licensed so you get paid.
Right.
31 years later, I'm not an expert in any of this stuff except my expert belief level,
Right.
okay? And so the thing, 31 years ago, I didn't understand fully how they work, and I still don't understand fully how they work right now. And I always use an example, and I use this example all the time. Can you flip that light on for me? Like what? How does that work? Now some of you go, oh, it's electrons and drones. Bullshit. I still don't know how it works, right or wrong?
Right.
I know you don't want to stand in a puddle and do this shit, right? But it works, right? How does a cell phone work? How does all this stuff, how does this work? I don't know, but it works.
Right.
And the business of our business, you don't have to be a financial expert to be in our business.
Right.
Just like you don't have to be a race car driver to drive a car. You don't have to be an auto mechanic to start it. Right? You push the button, and you just pull it right, and you drive. You don't have to be an electrician to turn the lights on. You don't have to be a financial planner to do our business. The thing that we are, folks, is we're in the people business. So the first thing I say to people when I meet with them is, what intrigued you most to get us back together again today?
Right.
And I'm going to tie my whole presentation into what intrigues them, because there's a lot of different facets of our business, and you can adapt this to them. If they would have told me day one I have to quit my job, come full time, I wouldn't be here. I took the part-time for 4 years, transition, and became an RVP.
Right.
Some people wanted to be full-time. I never wanted to be full-time. I never wanted to be part-time. I had no time when I started. So you go at your own pace. Second thing I ask people is I would say, hey, if somebody asks you, what does that guy Steve Buendia do for a living? Right? What would you say? What does that guy Keith Otto do for a living? What would you say? So those people are brand new. What would you say the first time you saw a business preview? How long have you been with us, bud?
About 3 months.
3 months. Full 90 days. So you walk out of your meeting and say, what does that guy Steve Buendia do, or Keith Otto? What would you say the first night?
He helps people with financial.
He helps people with their financial situation, right? Whatever. Sometimes you sit down with people, they go, oh, he teaches people how to be in their own business. Or some people go, oh, he sells insurance. Right? So there's a lot of different facets of what we do. Oh, he's an investment guy. Or he's a financial planner. My point is, if you go in that room right now and there's a presentation going on, it's the same message, but there's 20 different people in that room with 20 different notes that they take. Everybody's perception is a little bit different, right or wrong?
Right.
So when I do a presentation, if he says he helps people with his financial, do you know what I'm going to gear my presentation to? Helping people with their financial situation. Think about it. He sat in a business briefing. I sat in a business briefing. I come back the next day to meet with you so you could sell me on how to do what you're doing. I got to find out what he thinks I'm doing first. How about this? Sometimes I listen to people and do one-on-ones and they go, well, you guys sell insurance. No, we don't sell insurance. That's not what we do. Bet your ass that's one of the things we do. That's not the only thing we do. That's about this much of what we do. But if he says, I met with a guy last week who's a guy we recruited under this gentleman that works with my daughter, who's an Uber driver. And he gets in the car, which you don't say this. He gets in the car and the kid is epileptic, so he can't drive. So he takes Uber to the licensing school, passes this test, he gets out, he's all excited. He gets in the Uber car, his Uber comes, right? He gets in the car, and he's all excited. He goes, oh, you look excited. What do you have, a girl? He goes, no, I just passed my life insurance exam. So the guy goes, really? He goes, what do you do? He goes, oh, you got to come see what I'm doing. He goes, what do you do? He goes, I'm going to be selling a lot of life insurance, right? Now, nowhere in the presentation should you be talking about that, right? So the guy turns around and he goes, oh my God, he goes, I always wanted to sell life insurance. Can you help me get my license? So I'm in Hawaii, right, when he does this. I come back, I sit down, I do his little interview. The guy sits down, so what intrigued you most about what you sat through? What's your perception of what he does? He goes, life insurance. I go, well, that's one of the things we do. He goes, yeah, I always want to get my life insurance. I go, not only do we sell it, we do is sell a shitload of it. Right? And all I talked to him about for an hour was, and the guy's got 4 whole life policies. Wow. Right? So the bottom line is, you have to gear the follow-up one-on-one. Does that make sense, guys? All right, cool. So the thing that I do is I touch on a couple things. And I'm kind of hopping all over the place here. All right? Well, thank you, Lenny. So the thing that I also talk about is after I find out what they want, I gear it towards what their perception is. I kind of tie it in. I said, let me tell you how I view it in our business. And I talk about the concept between the product and the concepts. And the product and the concept. So for me, when I first looked at this, I saw insurance, investments, right? I saw those different things. And some of the challenges sometimes is people get overwhelmed. The reason I show this here is because I remember I left my op meeting that night and I go, oh my God, this company, they do life insurance, they do investments, they do this, they do debt elimination. And then I'm laying in bed that night going, holy shit, how am I going to learn how to do this, 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 and this? And what I realized was through the F&A, everything was simplified and duplicable. And so the product, to me, the reason I joined, I always say I joined for the 2 O's. The ownership and the overrides. The ownership and the overrides. The ownership, the opportunity to own my own business, and the opportunity to override people and have a financial interest in people. I always wanted to be in my own business. And the thing that I didn't realize early on was, knowing what I know now, I would never want to be in my own business. Because if it was my own business, then I would have a payroll that I'd have to pay. And I have people that I know that are friends of mine that have their own business, and if they don't take money in, they still have to pay their employees and the salaries, right or wrong. Yeah. And if the country or the government changes laws on everything, you still have to pay their health insurance and all this other stuff and all the taxes and all. And what I realized was, I also didn't realize if I owned a business and everybody here was employees, that means you worked for me. And if it was my company, what's the chances of you getting to own my company? Not going to happen. See, the opposite is, my job is I go to work for people. And my job would be, if these were people that work with me, they don't work for me, they work with me, I have a financial interest in them, and then my job is to get them to the position I'm at. To get them to become a regional vice president. Nice. To have the same contract. You understand, Steve Wendy has the same contract I have. Nice. Jaime Ordonez, same contract I have. I have a financial interest, and we have the same exact regional vice president contract. My uncle owned a produce store. He wasn't giving that to me. Before I worked here, my boss owned a plumbing company. He wasn't giving me the plumbing company. How do I get it? I have to start my own or buy it. I didn't have the money to buy it. Here, I joined the business. They said, I'm going to show you how to do what I'm doing and how to own your own business. So the thing that motivated me after I got to understand it was the ownership to be in business for myself and not by myself, and then the overrides to have a financial interest in other people and have a financial interest in other people. Right. See, if it was a great opportunity, if you joined in 1987 before half of you guys were born, then there's no opportunity. But you understand, the company has a game plan this month to have, in March 2018, this month will be the greatest month Primerica's ever had in business. 41-year overnight success here. Right? Think about it for a second. The goals that, so the opportunity today, the regional vice president contract today is 20 times better than it was when I started. The compensation, the systems, all the resources, everything's 20 times better. We weren't a publicly traded company back then. We didn't have the resource, we didn't have ownership the way we have it right now. So the focus is the concepts of the product and the business opportunity. The concepts, a lot of times people, I got to sit down with you and talk to you about your products. When I hear the product, I don't think about life insurance, investments, or retirement. I think of the product being the business opportunity. That's the product. That's what I say. We have 400 regional vice presidents that we have a financial interest in, and every single one of those regional vice presidents can own and operate their own business. It's kind of like a franchise, folks, without a fee. So if you look at what McDonald's sells, McDonald's doesn't sell french fries and chickens, nuggets, and hamburgers, although they do. McDonald's Corporation sells the franchise opportunity. And McDonald's is also the largest real estate owners in the United States right now. So what they do is they own the property, which is residual income, and then they own the company, and they have franchises that they sell. So what they sell is they sell a franchise opportunity. What Primerica sells is a franchise opportunity without a franchise fee. Nice. So all you do is you put sweat equity in it to learn and build and develop a business, and so that regional vice president contract is the opportunity. So when I do a one-on-one interview at my office, what I would do, I would bring you in here and I wouldn't say, let me show you the brochures on the insurance. Let me show you the brochures on the investments. What I would do is I would bring people through that front door and I would say, hey, we have a licensing and training system in here. That orientation room is where we do our business briefing. That's where we take new people that we're going to show you how to build a company within a company, and you can invite guests in that meeting. This is our training facility. We do licensing training and advanced training and step-by-step. We have different resources. All those companies that I showed you, once a month, every 4 to 6 weeks, we have different companies that come in that represent our companies, and we do training through that process. We've got regional vice presidents, senior vice presidents, senior national sales directors. We've got guys in this office that have made millions and millions of dollars a year. This company paid us $32 million in the last 10 years. We have a track record. What I want to do is teach you how to get licensed so we can take this system and put it where you want to have an office when that time comes. That's the business opportunity. So when people say, I got to learn more about your products, I don't want to talk about mutual funds and investments, although those aren't the products, those are the concepts. And I just went over them for a minute. The concepts that we share with people are phenomenal. And really what we do, the concepts, folks, so the business opportunities, that vice president contract, and then the concepts of the fact that we do an F&A or a financial needs analysis. Does that make sense?
Right.
And every time we do an F&A or a financial needs analysis like this, we get paid. And as we're here for a little bit and get promoted, we actually get overpaid, right?
Yeah.
And the reason it's different is, well, how much do you get every time you do an F&A? Well, it fluctuates. Why does it fluctuate? Because sometimes you sit down with a person. Lucas, how old are you, bud?
19.
Kids? You have any kids? Practicing? Girls are asking about you. No. So, 19, no kids, does not own a home probably, doesn't have a full-time job making, right? So his R, his responsibility, is going to look a little different, right? D, married, has a few kids, owns a home, owns some real estate, owns some building, owns a business. So Lucas's responsibility is going to look different than Dean's responsibility. Dean's got kids in school right now, he's supporting a small country, right? So when you look at this, right, when I started, I was 22 years old. I was single, had no kids, wasn't 25, didn't own a home, didn't have, right? I was a one-point mortgage, I had a full-time job. I didn't have any responsibility. All of a sudden, fast forward, now I'm married. I've got 2 children. I own 2 houses. I got an apartment in the city. I got a condo I'm buying for my mom. My mom's on my payroll. My in-laws are living in my guest house on my property. I have a bunch of responsibility. So my need is different now. Now I've got insurance, I got college funds for my kids, I got retirement. I have everything we do. Does that make sense?
Right.
So if you sit down with me at 53 years old, my financial needs analysis is going to look different, Lucas, than yours at 19 or mine at 22 when I start. He doesn't need insurance probably. He doesn't need a college fund maybe, but he definitely needs to save money for retirement.
Right.
He definitely needs a financial needs analysis, right or wrong.
Right.
So sometimes you sit down with people, you do an F&A. Right? I was talking about yesterday, one of our regional vice presidents did an F&A for a guy last month, sat down in an hour and a half, made $62,000 in one transaction. Just moving money from here to here, A to B. And you know what A means? A means it was awful, and B means it's better. A to B. No. He moved the money from A to B. So that's not normal. A vice president, the average vice president, when they do a regional vice president does an F&A, the average financial needs analysis, the compensation is over $1,600. Right? And I always say, forget about that. If you're a district, somebody who's been with us 30 to 60 days, and a district, somebody has a few people on their team and they're starting to build distribution, they're getting their life license, they got their life license, and you do that, and I just say every time you do an F&A, you get compensated $500. That's it, 500. Forget about 1,500. Forget about 60. Forget about 62,000. You sit down and do an F&A, and it's $500. Jaime, how long does it take you to do an F&A?
An hour and a half.
All right. So say it takes 4 hours, and you're making $1.25 an hour. That's a lot of money part time, right or wrong?
Right.
So some people look at that. If you're in school, or you're working full-time, or you have your own business, or you're unemployed or underemployed, and you go out once a month, you make an extra $500 a month. $500 a month, and you put that in an investment is more than most people in the United States save every month. And that will grow to hundreds of thousands, maybe millions of dollars by the time you retire. Or you go out once a week or 4 times in a month and make an extra $2,000 a month part-time, strong part-time income. If you make $100,000 a year in the United States, you're in the top 5 to 6% in the country, right? If you're making $100,000, you're taking home $60,000 to $70,000. If you make $2,000 a month part-time, that's $24,000 a year. You just gave yourself a 40 to 50% pay increase. Think about this. So we throw numbers around here sometimes like they're crazy. But if somebody put $2,000 in your checking account accidentally this month, and then accidentally did it again, and actually you wouldn't be at the bank going, come on, this is enough, stop this shit, right? Put it in someone else's account, enough is enough. What's going to happen is you can take it out right off. So the concept is so my first year part-time, I was paid $18,000, second year $26,000, third year $75,000 part-time, and then my fourth year $147,000 part-time, and that's when I quit my job. And 31 years later, when I talk to people that I was making an extra $1,000 to $1,500 a month, because I was making $70,000, but I had credit card debt, I was stressed out about money, and I was making good money back then, but I didn't have a game plan. All of a sudden, I got my little financial needs analysis, I started my little savings program, I started eliminating my credit card debt using a debt stacker back in the day, and I started putting money away in mutual funds. And so that $1,500 I made part-time a month the first year was a game changer. And all I talk to people about, now if you want to make $100,000, $200,000, we'll show you how to do that. But I know this, if you start off part-time and start making some extra income, what happens, and I say this in the opportunity meeting, 3 things happen in the first 30, 60, 90 days if you come on board. You get a license with us, so you get paid, you have something to fall back on.
Nice.
You'll get an education on how money works, which is invaluable, you could use it forever, and you'll help some people through the process, which is great. And so when you do that, you do this part-time, spare time, right? So when you look at this this process right here, some people look at that and they'll go out once a month and say, then there's lunatics that we have in our organization that will go out 8, 9, 10 times a week. And we have guys making $200,000, $300,000, $400,000. I have a guy last month, part-time, with his pen, made $32,000.
Nice.
Now, he has a full-time contract, but he's part-time. What I mean by that is he doesn't have a big team, he's kind of retired a little bit, but he went out and sat down with some people and did some business. He made $32,000. So you can sit down and you can make $300,000, $400,000 a year with your own pen, utilizing the resources. Why? Think about it for a second. Come back to this example. There's people that just sell life insurance for a living. Dean, you know people only do sell life insurance, right? There's people that just sell P&C, property and casualty, auto insurance. There's people that just do annuities. There's people that just do variable. There's people that's all they do. You could be one client now becomes 4, 5, 6, 7, 8 clients.
Nice.
So if you wanted to build a little distribution system yourself and a little you can make a ton of money part-time. The reason I say 500 is because it fluctuates. Sometimes people are going to need insurance and not an investment. Sometimes an investment, not insurance. Sometimes they're going to need everything. But if every time you went out, you went and you made yourself $500 and took somebody from A to B, every time you did that, you got compensated. Let me tell you what happens. The more you do it, the more you make. The less you do it, the less you make.
Right.
The more you do it, the more you make. The more you do it, the less freedom and the less time you have. So the goal, in my opinion, is to have a business that runs whether you're here or not. And for the first 5 to 10 years, at least 5 years, I was the #1 personal producer in my organization. Not because I saw this and go, wow, this is actually a great place to sell life insurance and investments, and I started selling life insurance. I did it so I could learn the process, so I could show others how to do it. And it's like riding a bike, you never forget. But what happens is, in life, you max out or burn out. So what you have to do in any business, if you want to make big money, is you have to create leverage.
Right.
And what Primerica has is created a leverage marketing organization. And let me give you an example. Watch this. We have $4.5 billion. I mentioned that 3 times tonight. That's $4.5 billion that we get paid overrides on. That's leverage.
Right.
You watch a guy, you look at some of these basketball players that make stupid money, some of these baseball players that make stupid money, football players that make stupid money. Why do they make so much money? Because they can run fast? A lot of guys can run fast. Oh, they're the good athletes, a lot of good athletes. How about people that sing? You ever watch American Idol or The Voice? There's a lot of friggin' talented people that never make a penny singing, right or wrong. But the ones who make big money is because people listen to them and they have leverage, whether it's on iTunes or back in the day, albums or music that they sold or concerts. It's leverage. So leverage in our business, folks, is people. Putting more hours in your day. When you sat in your meeting, the first night you sat in your meeting, people popped into your head. You said, I know people who'd be interested in this, right or wrong.
Right.
And so what happens is, I always say to people in my interview, how much work did the person do that invited you down here? And what are they doing right now? So if you came to my office Tuesday night, and I met with you the next day or the day after, and say you recruited them to the office or invited to the office, I'd have you sit at the desk, you'd sit next to him. And I would say, how much has he said so far tonight since I've been talking? Nothing. It's the same thing that happens in an interview. Could you learn to do that? Same thing when I'm field training somebody, I take someone on an appointment, they're watching, could you learn to do what they're doing? See, you're going to watch and learn until you feel comfortable. Some people do 2 or 3 times, they feel comfortable. I went out in 18 field training sales before I felt comfortable. Right? And I still didn't feel comfortable. But I tried it, right? Some people go 2 or 3 and I'm ready to go. We have a grand opening in our office on Friday. A few weeks ago I said, hey, we're going to get a couple new guys up there. And one guy goes, I'll help out. I go to doors, who's this dude? He goes, oh, he just got licensed. I don't even know who he is. I go, he wants to help out. You can help out. That would have been me. I was the guy hiding in the back. So I'm not helping out, right? So watch. Lucas, when you sat in your first meeting a few months ago, who's the first person that popped in your head? You said, I know somebody I want to be in business with. Who's that person?
My friends.
What's his first name?
Jeremy.
Jeremy. So let's just say, it was with a J, right? So let's just say Jeremy. Watch. What I would say to him, if this is my interview, you want to invite Jeremy down. 1 or 2 things are going to happen. He's either interested or not.
Right.
If he's interested, we'll get him started, then Jeremy will be sitting there and you'll be sitting next to him. And if he's not interested, does Jeremy know people that you don't know? Yeah. Think about it. Are you on Facebook?
Yeah.
Instagram? Insta? Right? Are you friends with him on Facebook and Instagram? Does he have friends and people on his Instagram that you don't know? Do you think those people have people that they don't know? That's called referrals.
Right.
31 years, I never made a cold call. And by the way, never will. Never knocked on doors. I never got up in the morning and said, I'm going to find people today. Never did that shit. Now, do I meet people all the time? I was having dinner. My daughter's friend's birthday was Saturday night. We took him to a little bar, a restaurant, my wife and I, and then my buddy owns a club, so we took him to a club. The clubs in the city where you're allowed to drink at 19. You know those clubs? When you know the people? And so and then afterwards we took him out for ice cream. And I'm all of a sudden, my wife goes, are you going to start talking? So the girl goes, I can't believe you talk to everybody. I turn around and start bullshit with this guy. And all of a sudden, 20 minutes later, the guy's giving me his number. He goes, oh, dude, we got to hook up. I got to find out what you do. So I would walk out, and this girl, Lakin, my daughter's friend, goes, what was that? I'm building an empire, sucker, right? So, but I didn't say I'm taking you out for your birthday so I could find some guy with a nickname Breezy at Serendipity in Manhattan, right? But what happens is, it was his nickname. So what happens is, you people lead you to people, right or wrong. Well, I'll talk to people I don't know because people need what we do. Everybody needs parts of what we do.
Right.
But 100% of our business is referrals. So what's this? Jeremy, right?
Yeah.
So say you call up Jeremy right now and you say, Jeremy, I just got involved in a business. Now listen to me now. That meeting, if there's 100 people in here, there should be 250 people, 300 people in that op meeting. You call up Jeremy, you say, Jeremy, if you're brand new, I say, I want you to come see what I'm doing, man. I'm excited. Could you do me a favor? If your car broke down, where's Jeremy live?
West Orange.
West Orange. If you're in West Orange and your car breaks down and you're not far from his house, would he come pick you up?
Yeah.
If it was 3 o'clock in the morning?
Yeah.
Now, if it's 3 o'clock in the morning and you're out fooling around doing some shit you shouldn't be doing, and it's 3 o'clock in the morning, I say, dude, I need you to pick me up. Imagine he goes, hold on a second, before I pick you up, what's the temperature out? I'm freezing my ass off out here, dude. Well, before I come get you, I need to know what's wrong with the car. I think I have a flat. Well, which tire is it, front or back? I need to know before I exercise my options. Asshole, come pick me up, right or wrong. That's what I would say to my buddy. So he can ask you a bunch of questions, but it's not important. Why? Because you need a ride. So I don't care what he says to you because you've got what? Personal credibility. Jeremy, I need your help. I want you to come do me a favor and come check it out. Whether he's interested or not, we're not filling out his IBA during yacht meeting. So if he's interested, we'll set up a time to get back, we'll get him more information. Worst case scenario is that now I had a person in 31 years walk out of a meeting and go, this is a bunch of bullshit. Make me sit in a meeting, focused on my financial future, put my financial house in order, teach me how to money works, be watching TV, right? See, what happens is they're not interested maybe, but they're getting a great education.
Right.
Does that make sense?
Right.
So if he's not interested for the next 20, 30, 40, 50 years, as long as you build a bit, he can refer people forever. But if he is interested, we'll get him started. So let's just say he is interested, and we got him licensed. And we train and develop, and we have a financial interest. Now every time he gets licensed, every time he takes someone from A to B, he makes 500. Your override on that, let's just say, is 250. Just giving you a concept here.
Right.
What if you had 10 guys like Jeremy every month?
Nice.
What if you had 10 guys like Jeremy every week or every day? What if you had 100 people every day? Could you see how it's unlimited? It's unlimited because it's an unlimited amount of people.
Right.
Right? At 3 o'clock in the morning, right? There's people on the West Coast that are still out doing appointments sometimes. All of a sudden, there's people leverage all over the country right now that you could create. There's more hours in a day. As I'm talking to you right now, there's people out closing business, getting people started, taking people through the process all day, all night. That's leverage. You never make big money based on the work you do. You could start making big money based on the work you do, but you max out a burnout.
Right.
You only make big money based on the work you create. How many people have a computer? Whether it's a PC or an Apple product. Steve Jobs or Bill Gates didn't hook that up for you.
Right.
Yet their family probably, if you listen closely, ching, they get paid on that shit, right or wrong? Every time the iPhone 62 comes out, right, their family gets paid forever and ever and ever. You have that same opportunity in a residual opportunity to build a company. Does that make sense?
Yeah.
So the process is that. Then what you've got to do is come through. We have a system that we call, right, which is a step-by-step process, which I started utilizing called a success checklist. Now, as I wrap up with this real quickly, the step process is this. This is what I expect people to do. I don't care if you use a fast start planner. I don't care. But the focus is in the first 7 to 10 days, first thing we want to have you do is put together a top 25 list. Why? Because that's your inventory. We're in a people business. We sold cars, our inventory would be vehicles. If we owned the bar, our inventory would be alcohol. If we owned the restaurant, our inventory would be food. Our inventory is people. People lead you to people. There's two kinds of credibility. There's personal credibility and financial credibility. Watch this. You call Jeremy right now, and you say, hey, what's up, bro? This is Lucas. I want you to do me a favor. Write this guy's name down. His name is Keith Otto. Who's Keith Otto? It's a guy I'm going to be working with. Just as a personal favor to me, write his name down, Keith Otto. And if Keith Otto calls you as a favor to me, give him 10 minutes on the phone. What would he say? Because I need you to do me a favor. Write his name down. His name is Keith Otto. If Keith Otto gives you a call, give him 10 minutes on the phone. If after 10 minutes you're not interested, hang up on the dude, but as a favor to me, would you give him 10 minutes? Why? Because you got personal credibility with him. And if he's not interested, he's going to hang up on me after 10 minutes, right or wrong?
Right.
Right. See, but your financial credibility, maybe you don't have financial credibility because you haven't worked with a financial service company, you're not licensed yet, you haven't made any money here yet. But watch this. I've got financial credibility here 31 years. Our company has more people making $100,000. That doesn't mean anything if I don't have personal credibility. So watch this. I call up him now. You don't ask him to call me. I just give me his number. I call him. I go, hey, how you doing, man? This is Keith Otto. Who? Yeah. Otto. O-T-T-O. Don't spell it backwards. Otto. I'm a senior national sales director with Primerica. Who? Primerica. I made $4 million last year. He'd be like, right or wrong? Some guy calls me up and tells me how much money I have. Right or wrong? Prima America, who's that shit, right? So I've got financial credibility, but I've got zero personal credit. There's a message in here. You've got personal credibility, but no financial credibility. I built my whole business on a warm referral concept. Years ago with Bob Sapp, we used third-party system, warm referral concept. It's people you know that you have credibility with, but no financial credibility. Well, I've got financial credibility, and all of you do because you've got the resource. When you walk into the house at Primerica, you're not walking into the house by yourself. You're walking in with the greatest financial minds at your back. These are the resources that go to work for you. That's financial credibility. And so what happens is, it's the resource. Now what happens is, you take your personal credibility, bro, and our financial credibility, you take that top 25 list, you turn it into 2,500, 25,000, 250,000. It continues to grow. That's how we built our whole business. So the first thing you've got to do is start that. The only thing you and I bring to the table, when I started, I didn't bring my experience, I didn't bring my money, I didn't have any of that. I didn't bring my know-how, I didn't bring my licenses. The only thing I brought was my natural warm market that I had credibility with. I had 150 students at my karate school I was teaching. I had 50-something guys in my plumbing company. My brother was a cop in Burgerfield. He knew people. I taught a karate school. I knew people. Right? The average 30-year-old person knows 1,100 people. Now with social media, it's probably 11,000. Right? So the top 25 list, what you do is you start. And people, you need to give people, it's like priming that pump, right? If I said to you, who do you know? Who do you know? Name 5 colors. You know what people do when I say that? They look around. Blue, white, green, because we think in pictures. So when you say put 25 names down, I don't know 25 people. You know someone who's bald? Don't look around. Right? You know someone who drives a truck. You know someone who's really involved in their church. You know someone who just had a baby. You know someone who's good at basketball. You know someone who bowls. You know someone who works outside. You know someone who's a teacher, right? You start putting pictures in people, and that's what this is right here. In this here, what you have is you've got a memory jogger. You know why they call it a memory jogger? Because it jogs your memory, right? And you put that through that process, and you start, you'll have hundreds. Then you grab your phone book, and you start with A's in your phone. The average person on Facebook has 500, 700 people. They go, who do I talk to? Any of them. So you start with your top 25. Then we get you on Primerica Online, and we see the resources available. The resources are unlimited. The challenge is most people in Primerica get on POL. They use this much. There's so much. Don't spend all don't put your thong on and driving around all night on the computer and spend hours looking at it. But there's a ton of resources on there. Any compensation question is on there. Any licensing questions on there. Anything to do with our business is on POL. It's a systematic process. So you get on, you see all those resources. I would start with that overcoming objections thing that I did. Why? Because I didn't know, because that's 30 objections that you have in your head. Those are 30 objections I've copied from other people, not one of them I came up with. And people go, why do you have people watch it? I don't have them watch it so they can learn the answers. I have them watch it to overcome the objection in their head. Because as they're listening to it, it's sinking in a little bit. If you want to lump this out of somebody's head, you got to keep hitting them, right or wrong. And so that process works. So right here, Primerica Online, then we're going to complete your F&A. If you're 19 years old, I'm doing your F&A. If you're 39 years old, 59, I'm doing your F&A. People go, I hired him. Why did you do his F&A? Oh, he's 19. Then what the hell did you hire him for? His F&A will be maybe an abbreviated version, but talk about how much money he's put away. What's his FIN number going to look like? Right. Give him a goal to shoot at. See, then when you start seeing that process, we're going to complete your F&A. Then we're going to do 2 things. We're going to focus on building, recruiting, and building a business to create leverage for you. And then we're going to get you on some appointments for one reason, is to prove to you that the business works. We're going to show you what we do versus tell you what we do. We take you out, we recruit one person, and we do implement one F&A, which is the income protection. You do 1 by 1, you get a $100 reimbursement. It's not going to make you wealthy, it's going to reimburse you for the 99 bucks. Then we do 2 by 2 more, and you get a total of $300. So the first 30 days, which we don't have enough people doing right now, because there's not a commitment level. If I recruited you yesterday, the first thing I'm going to do is I'm going to get a commitment for these right here. First 7 to 10 days, I say I want you to bring people to come see me, or bring me to come see people. Bring me to come see people. Who do I want to come see? People that are 4 and 5 point market. Married, own a home, have kids, over 25, full-time job. 4 or 5 point market, we're going to go see them. 1 to 3 point markets, you're going to bring them to come see me. In the op meeting, Tuesday night, Saturday morning, Tuesday night, Friday night. You with me? And then we're going to sit down with people that are in our market. Why? Because if you go up to a kid who's 8 years old, you go, hey, hop off your skateboard, I can save you money on your auto insurance. That's not our market. Because there's not responsibility, right? So this process right here, yes, and then we're going to enroll you in PFSU. So the perfect scenario is if I recruited you today, Lucas, I'm going to put you in licensing school within 2 weeks. Now, every once in a while, because of the timing, I might have to put you in this weekend, which I'd rather not. Why? Because I want you to come to a couple trainings. I want to have lunch with you maybe, grab a cup of coffee. I want to spend some time with you a little bit, build rapport, get you to understand that our system works, get you to see the process, come to a couple trainings. Maybe sit through a conference call we might do. Maybe sit through a manager. Get a chance to learn and raise your belief. Maybe do your financial needs analysis so that when you're sitting in licensing school is not the most sexually arousing thing you're going to do. Some people walk out and go, oh my God, that was awesome. I was like, oh, shit, okay. Right? But the licensing process, you want to get licensed to get paid. You want to bring people to get promoted. And you want to attend all training meetings. And the first thing I'm going to do, and the reason I'm going to do every F&A for everyone in my base shop when I'm in town is because I want to get a commitment for people to show up. And if he can't give me a commitment to be here on Tuesdays and Saturdays, I'm not recruiting him. Now, I'll put your IBA in, but I ain't working with you. Because if everybody could put in 8 to 10 hours a week. Well, he says, well, I have a college class on Tuesday night, so when's the semester over? We got to maneuver that. I bowl on Tuesdays. Can you move it to Thursdays? I want to get a commitment, 8 to 10 hours a week. And most people say, well, I want to make part-time $2,000, $3,000, I want to make $100,000, I want to be my own business, I want to make $4 million a year, but I don't have any time. So there's a fine line. Like, you got to put in 8 to 10 hours a week. Means that 2 hours on a Tuesday, maybe 2 hours on the weekend, Friday or Saturday, it's 4 hours. The other 4 hours on appointments, 8 to 10 hours is all you need. But the first couple weekends, we just got to sacrifice in the first month 2 weekends for licensing school, right, or 4 days. After that, you go part-time. But the most important thing right here, folks, is a 10 weekly training.
Right.
Not a 10 training weekly. Or very weekly. And so this should be completed in the first 7 to 10 days, and then we recognize them with a pin. We get them focused on their fast start bonus. We want to recognize them through the process.
Nice.
Any questions on that? That's the first 7 to 10 days. The first 30 days, we want to get you 3x3 to have you pre-qualified for district. Get your fast start bonus. And in 30 to 60 days, if we take you on some appointments and recruit some people, and you sat through some training, and you got your license, you have something to fall back on. We call that a spare tire. Every one of us, I got a rental car outside, it's got a spare tire. I'd never drive into the city from here without a spare tire. Car breaks down, what, I just sit there and wait for the tire to grow back? Yet we drive around in life without a spare tire. Why not have something to fall back on? Maybe timing's not right, or something's going to change in a person's life. This is my feeling. Everybody should get licensed.
Right.
And everybody should get licensed, not for any other reason except to be in your own business, have something to fall back on, have some tax advantages legally. When you own your own business and you 1099, you make money, you spend money, and you pay tax on whatever's left over. At a job, you make money, you pay tax, and you spend if there's any left over. There's a lot of things in my life, and I'm not doing a tax evasion class right now, but there's a lot of things in my life that I do that if I had a job, I couldn't write off. But because I'm in my own business, and I'm in a people business, and sometimes we deal with peoples, it's deductible. Take advantage of the system. I don't care if you're a Republican, Democrat, I call it an American. Right? And you take advantage of the opportunity. Thank you. And your focus is, your commitment should be this, okay? If you're not licensed, you want to be 3x3 this month and get reimbursed so we can prove that your business works.
Right.
If you are licensed, you want to hit your qualified production. If you're a district, you want to be 3x2,500. If you're a division, you want to be 5x5,000. If you're a regional leader, you want to be 7x7,500. Or you want to up that based upon what Jimmy Meyer has going on right now. But I know this, 100% of the people that don't show up to the opportunity meeting don't join. And 100% of the people that you don't invite don't show up. 31 years, I've never had a guy drive in and goes, I was just driving by, I saw the lights on, no one invited me, where's the op meeting? Never happened. You don't have to get great at recruiting, you got to get great at inviting. You don't have to get great at closing business, you got to get great at scheduling appointments to show people who we are and what we do. This is the message. You need to tell the Primerica story, bring people to come see us to tell the story, or bring us to come see people. You understand? My solution number is KB791. That code's paid us millions and millions of dollars since I joined. That's my lottery ticket. And I know this, if you don't play the lottery, you can't win the lottery. And you got to get licensed to get paid. So I want to give you an example right now. I want to recognize all the people who have guests tonight. Because this meeting, I hope you got a little bit of something,
Nice.
but you would have got a lot of bit of something if you would have had someone sit in that meeting tonight. Because you could have someone sit in that meeting that could be a vice president in the next 12 months. They make $100,000 a year. You're over. I say you invite Jeremy down. We hire him, we pay him, we train him. Every time he gets paid, you get paid. If he becomes an RVP making $100,000 a year, your override's 50, 75, 100,000 forever. You invited me down and left me alone. Right now, I'd be making $1 million a year in overrides. Whether you like me or not. You wouldn't have to wash me. You wouldn't have to wake me up. You wouldn't have to power my puff. None of it. This system is unbelievable.
Nice.
But you got to be in the process. You can either use the system or abuse the system. So I just wanted to recognize those of you have guests, and I'm going to give you a lottery ticket. If you win, you have to split it with me. No, actually you don't. Donato, where's Donato? John Carlos, you got one guest? It's not scratch and sniff. It's scratch and scratch. All right, Ahmed? Ahmed? Share, snare, snare, stairs. Scared? Share, snare. Who has Darbert Arias inside?
Me.
How do you say your name? Amanda? John? Usually we get someone who wins at least 1,000 when we do it. It's pesos though. Lovely? Alright, give her a hand. Terrible. Martha? Is there anyone else who has a guest that didn't sign in? You have a guest? Oh, you have a guest that didn't sign in. I met your guest. Give him a hand. You have a guest? What's their name?
Darius.
Darius.
Date of birth? You have a guess? Are these guys bullshitting me or what? See, now you got a guess? Where they sign in? The wall? The bathroom for a good time? Anyone who's got 2 or more guests that we called out tonight is going to join us for a cocktail?
Yes.
On Steve or me?
Yes.
Just real quick too, one of the things we're going to do, I'll be back in 3 weeks. In 3.5 weeks, I'll be back. And one of the things I want to do starting tonight, we'll use this sheet for tonight, starting tonight. So you get double dipping tonight. And the way it's going to work is we're going to have raffle tickets. Anybody starting tonight, March will be the greatest month Primerica's ever had. The question is it going to be the greatest month you've ever had?
Right.
And so what we've got to do is we've got to max that opportunity out. All you got to do is walk out. There's not a more densely populated place in the world,
Right.
besides China and India, and we're not licensed there, than right out here. Right? I mean, between here and Manhattan, there's millions and millions of people.
Right.
And those people need what we do. What we've got to do is invite people down. Some people are interested, some aren't.
Right.
Every person, we're going to have raffle tickets. Every life transaction that comes in between now and month end, starting tonight, is going to get a raffle ticket. Every securities transaction, every IBA that comes in. But everybody who has a guest is going to get 2. So those of you who had 3 guests tonight will get 6. And then what we're going to do when I'm back in town is we're going to get a wad of cash, and we're going to give out $100 bills, $50 bills, $20 bills, and then we're going to go to a strip club. No. But we're going to do a little cash raffle giveaway, and we make it fun. It's going to be a good time, I promise you. And we're going to do that. We'll do that in a few weeks when I'm back. But we're going to keep track between the base shops going forward. But the IBAs are going to be one. All life transactions, security transactions, IBAs are one. But any guests are going to count as 2. This way, some of you guys aren't licensed, okay?
Right.
And if you witness a transaction, we're going to count that as 1 too. But anybody who does guests, which we got to focus on, you need a license to do mutual funds, variable annuities, life, auto, some states, prepaid legal, some states. The only license you don't need is a license to recruit. Once you file your IBA, you're licensed to invite people down.
Right.
And we got to stir up activity. I want to see who's got the most. Some of you could have 10, 15, 20 people scheduled. There's 168 hours a week. Let's max this thing out. You guys with me?
Yeah.
Have a great week, guys.